All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk Piece, episode 7. Today, we are joined by our very special guest, Mr. Prems, coming back. How you doing, mate? How you doing today?
I'm all good. I'm all good. I'm really ready for this discussion. I'm gonna try and keep everything reined in. But yeah, no, excited to be back.
Yay! And of course, to my partner in YouTube, partner in life, don't tell our girlfriends, but Zoro Hater, the Toxic Brood, aka Walk-ins. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just peachy.
Oh, that's very nice. And super special, mega awesome hello to Shonen Ouji, our special guest. How are you doing today, man?
Well, I'm a little confused because when my agent had reached out, or excuse me, my lawyer had reached out to you, I was under the assumption that we were settling our fraud dispute, but apparently we're talking about a magazine, a comic book, whatever you kids are doing these days. So I guess I'm here for that.
Yeah, you see, we kind of had to put that lawsuit on hold because, as you know, comics are just so much more important than relevant fraud cases.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I got
I mean, we
dressed
can.
up for nothing.
No worries. Hey, at least you look the most classy out of all of us, so you have the most classy opinions here.
I don't have a wrestling belt. I would kind of like the wrestling belt. I'll trade you for this nice tie.
Ooh, that is a nice tie.
Thank you.
And I imagine that this is just going to be a very tame discussion, especially with Prems here, because today, as you guys could tell from the title, we're talking about Mr. Roanoa Zoro, or Zolo if you're really big into translations, but fuck you, Zoro sounds much better. So we're talking about him. And the big topic that we just want to try to settle is debating whether or not this guy is overrated. Is everyone just hyping up to no degree, or too high of a degree, I should say? But yeah, I just want to open the floor with, like, what do you all think? Is he overrated, or yeah, just getting it out there? Let's begin the chaos.
Based on how you framed the discussion, I can only assume that you feel as though he's overrated. Am I correct in assuming that?
Not exactly. What I wanted to do is just see if Zoro is truly overrated, and it's just to be like, no, I think the fan base is just taking him too far. But we think he's grounded in the story. That's one approach. We could come out of this discussion also thinking, oh, yeah, maybe he is a bit overrated, both in the story and in terms of the fan base. So anything goes at this point.
I will say people are stuck on the Zoro hype right now, like 100%. And they have every right. They're perfectly reasonable. However, would I say he's overhyped? I wouldn't say he's overhyped. More like when Zoro gets an inch, everyone wants to make it out to be a mile. That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't necessarily say he's overhyped. I just think people are a little quick to be like, okay, he did this, but it was really this because you don't know what it means for the story. It's like, no. It was literally like, I saw something on Twitter. I don't know if it was somebody in here or somebody else, but somebody said Luffy and Zoro are equally strong. And I was like, really?
Sickening.
I saw that earlier.
Yeah, I saw that
too. Maybe in the power scaling department, he's a little overhyped. Like there was the whole.
Oh wait, hold on. I think I just choked on a little bit of sick.
Oh geez, you should drink some water. I remember. So there was a tweet. There was like a poll. Would Zoro beat Katakuri? And it was like 80-20 for Zoro. And so I was like, that's just unfair to Katakuri, because Katakuri like just barely lost to Luffy. I'm not one of the people who thinks he handed the fight. I think he legitimately lost. It was a very fair fight, disregarding all the emergent circumstances. But to say that Zoro would like easily beat Katakuri, that's where I start to think that maybe people are overvaluing his abilities.
But he has swords. He can cut mochi. Katakuri doesn't stand a chance. These are real arguments, by the way, people. We're not really making it up.
I've not heard that.
Oh,
Yeah, if you go like, I know I saw it on, because Zoro versus Katakuri, ever since the fight with Luffy happened, I've seen it on Reddit, I've seen it on Discord, and a lot of the time where I can't tell if they're being trolls or not, but it's like, yeah, but Zoro has swords, he has hockey, it's an easy win because he can just cut through the mochi. And I'm like, are you sure about that? Are we absolutely sure?
There are some takes that you kind of have to like question if you and the other English speaker are speaking the same language. It's baffling.
Right. And to pass this off to Mr. Prems, what do you think? Because I'm very interested in hear your side of this case. Where do you think if Zoro's just a tad bit overrated, overhyped? You know the drill.
So people are so far up. Zoro's. No, I'm joking. So let me be serious, right? So just to follow up on what Ouji said is Zoro overhyped? I know you said kind of like no, but I think he kind of is. And I'm actually gonna give you like my reason behind it, because with this whole like can Zoro beat Katakuri and everyone saying yes, logic actually says no, he shouldn't be able to beat Katakuri. However, I think the way Zoro's portrayed in the story, i.e., he's kind of like gone from his hardest fight post time skip being what maybe Pika, skipping like past the first commander all the way up to Kaido, and then people automatically assume, okay, Zoro can beat any first commander. But had Oda put Zoro in the position where he was fighting a king or a Katakuri right now, you know it would be a high diff fight for Zoro. And I say high diff, but that will kind of be like where we would rank him. But because he kind of gets to skip past that, automatically people just assume that he's stronger than a first commander. And so when I talk about is he overhyped, yes, but it's kind of because people take that little bump that Oda's given him and they run away with it. It's kind of like, oh, Zoro all of a sudden can now like use flame, like Kinnaman's technique, and cut a flame, and people are like, oh my gosh, Zoro. Or it's kind of like, oh, Zoro is controlling Enma, Zoro's amazing. And it's kind of like, all right, I appreciate Zoro's doing all of the cool stuff, but we have to take it for what it is and understand that yes, he's strong, but let's not push it too far. Like he's not stronger than a Luffy. He's not what like first commander level yet. And will he go past it? Yes, he will. But I feel like people judge Zoro on his potential rather than what he actually is.
Yeah, it's a little hard to imagine like him facing, like you can definitely see how he could face hardships, but at the same time, everyone's realizing, oh, well, if all goes according to plan, he will face against Mihawk, the greatest swordsman on the face of the planet. And it's just like, he's going to beat him, so why wouldn't he face challenges? And I actually do have a question for all of you. In terms of the discussion, in terms of like overhyped, overrated, do you guys think it's just because of the power alone, or could it be like any facet of his character? Because basically, I'm just asking for history. Like, is it just the power that's overhyped?
Well, I've never really heard any takes that are not true of Zoro in terms of his character, aside from like person's subjective, like personal preferences. But I've never heard anything about Zoro's character that wasn't true.
And Watkins, I haven't heard from you. Like, what do you think about this entire fun situation?
Look, Zoro is not overhyped. The simple reasoning being is because he is the hype. No, but seriously, so Zoro's an interesting case because, like, kind of like what OG was saying, like, you don't really hear anything bad about his character. It's always about like the feats and the strength. And what Zoro does in this series, he caters to the meathead side of One Piece, where it's all about the fights, all about the feats, all about the strength, getting that power scaling discussion all in there. And that's where all the quote unquote overhypeness comes out of, is mainly from his feats, because we have things like, oh, he beat the main villain of Fishman Island very easily. Oh, he cut down Pika, who's basically a mountain. Oh, Zoro's got Enma. He's gonna cut Kaido, ZKK all around. Yeah, like I think part of it is the fan base just kind of latching onto that and having him be overhyped. And that also kind of ties in too with how we had Whole Cake Island as an arc being all about Sanji, and everyone thought, oh, Wana's going to be all about Zoro. And where we've gotten some big, some good Zoro moments, it hasn't been all about Zoro.
Yeah.
So, can I make an addition to what I said earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Or general contribution. So, I think part of why, at least right now in the last few months, Zoro could arguably be said to be overhyped. I think the reason why some of these Zoro takes are so bold is because before, however long ago you want to go back, you would always have the threat of a Sanji fan coming out and calling you out. However, this is no longer the case because you have multiple instances in which Sanji either contradicts himself or opens himself to massive criticism. So I think what's happened throughout the course of the more recent chapters is Sanji keeps looking like more of a clown of a character. So then you don't really have, to use a lack of a better terms, you don't really have the checks and balances anymore. And Zoro fans are going unchecked right now. So that's maybe an underlying cause.
That's a really awesome analogy you put there. we might have a Zoro recession soon.
I would say we might need like a Robin filibuster. We might need the Robin fans to come out and be like, all right, look, Zoro's not the only good character.
Let's get those Brook fans out there. Let's go, Trevor.
Yeah.
We might need to shut down the government of One Piece and have a recess.
Yeah.
Come back and reconvene.
I call for a 10-chapter recess before we go back to the Zoro arguments, people of the court.
More Odin, please?
Well, we have that right now.
We might. But yeah, that was my take on why I think Zoro fans are getting a little bold.
OG, I think you're onto something there, because for me it is that whole sort of like Sanji comparison. So is the reason I kind of say he is a little bit overhyped is because is Zoro being hyped because Zoro fans want to prove that Zoro's so much better than Sanji, and then Sanji fans used to want to prove how close Sanji actually is to Zoro, and kind of like more recently than not, you're kind of seeing Sanji take more and more L's, which kind of like it opens up that gap between Zoro and Sanji, because not to say Zoro's necessarily got so much better, kind of like if you imagine Zoro's continued on like a typical growth curve, and however Sanji kind of goes through like road bumps, like up and down, and Sanji's been down for a bit now, and so it makes that gap kind of open up so much more, and Zoro fans want to emphasize that a little bit more. And so now it's kind of like those of us who just enjoy the story for what it is, and casual fans probably look at it and we all think, and some of us may think, actually they're hyping Zoro too much, he's not actually done anything great. And then there's the others that say, actually no, he's not that far away from Sanji. And so because there's so many constant discussions, you've got those who are hyping Zoro quite a lot, and they're quite vocal, and that's where I think they are being overhyped a little bit. Not to say Zoro's not great or anything, because that would be a flat out lie, but I just think that it's all the noise we're getting in the background that kind of hypes him up a bit more.
Yeah. Do you think that like because there's the whole expectancy to beat Mihawk to be the strongest, do you think because of that's why Zoro fans are taking every opportunity to use it as like, oh my god, he can cut Kaido, this is only one step closer to Dracula Mihawk? Do you guys think that's maybe the case too? Because I'm curious.
It could be part of that. It could also be the fact that a lot of the Straw Hats post time skip haven't really been pushed in that like equal footing with somebody. Like the only one who has so far has been Luffy. There have been other instances where like Straw Hats have like been pushed a little bit, but we haven't gotten to see everyone's like full what's the word I'm looking for? Like, yeah, just to see what they're fully capable of post time skip. Because like pre time skip, we've seen, we saw the Ashura stuff, we saw the birth of Diable Jambe, things like that. Like we had that pre time skip. Post time skip, it's just been okay. Zoro's gonna pretty much almost one shot everybody. I mean, with Pika, that wasn't really a fight until he finally got Pika out of the big stone like mountain, and then Pika was just like, all right, full hockey, and then Zoro just sliced him down pretty easily.
Yeah.
So it could just be a part that's just like, okay, we want to see like that Zoro versus Kaku fight again and have that, what happened here, nothing happened here moment again.
I think part of the thing is too, I don't really like go out of my way to find power scaling discussions or threads or anything like that.
Yeah.
But when I was, going at it with people about this whole Zoro Katakuri thing, a number of people, like enough to remember, were saying the same thing about, well, Zoro is the right-hand man of the main character, so why wouldn't he be able to blah, 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 blah. Basically saying he's supposed to be near the main character, and the main characters need to be able to beat everyone because blah, 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 blah. And so basically they're making what you could shorthand as the narrative argument. And
Yeah.
I think that's a really dumb argument to bring into a power scaling discussion, because the whole point of power scaling is to use it one primarily just to have fun and say dumb stuff like, oh, okay, could Superman beat Jiren, right? That's primarily what power scaling is. But in terms of evaluating the story, it's a tool to take a step back and go, okay, what have these characters been shown to be able to do, and what are they doing now, and is that consistent? So to bring in narrative into a discussion that's meant to be a tool to judge the narrative, I think is so backwards. And I think that's why Zoro fans I think in terms of like why Zoro fans are so bold, aside from what I said about Sanji, the other thing too is they know Zoro is the right-hand man and all that. So they kind of have this bias of like the narrative argument, and then they kind of just say whatever to justify it.
Yeah, because like you have characters like Rayleigh, who was the right-hand man of Roger, and he's this badass. Oh, Zoro needs to be at that level.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't like the narrative. It's like you said, OG, because at that point, you can literally you can describe every single fight or potential, like any movie ever. It's like, oh, why did Thanos lose to the Avengers when he had why did he lose it all? It's because of the plot. He had to lose. It's like, okay.
Well, so I'll give you another perfect example. A lot of people like to bring up titles in power scaling discussions. So if you're talking about Mihawk, he's the world's strongest swordsman. If you're talking about Kaido, he's the world's strongest pirate. It's like, what does that mean? It's a pretty umbrella term. And so you really can't rely on it because it's 50-50. Oda could stick with it and use it to justify something happening, or he could say, "Oh, that was just their betrayal," but blah blah blah. Now they're dead, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just to add to that point, the question I probably ask is, well, how relevant are those titles? We saw Whitebeard, yeah, he was a badass, but he ended up dying. And for the record, Whitebeard's my favorite One Piece character. And then the other one was Kaido, right? So World's Strongest Thing or something like that.
Right.
Strongest creature.
Yeah.
Never been damaged before, right? The only one to damage him was Odin. Well, what without spoiling, what have we seen so far? We've seen him damaged, right? So the question I ask is, do we get to Mihawk and find out that maybe Mihawk's a fraud? Now, I'm not saying he is, but has he just been holding that title? How did he get that title? And I think people make that assumption, oh, Zoro is going to be the world's strongest swordsman. He's going to beat Mihawk, which means he's going to be at a certain level by the end of series. And they kind of use that towards the hype. He's going to exceed me, excel past what Rayleigh was, excel past what Mihawk is, and he's going to be this great figure. And so it's kind of like people are judging on, like I said before, on potential rather than where they're at right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
To add to the whole Rayleigh and Roger thing, it's like, yeah, Zoro's supposed to be like Rayleigh because he was a monster. And it's like, and the fun thing is like, well, if you want to use that in comparison to like, oh, is Zoro as strong as Luffy? It's like, if you're going to use the Rayleigh and Roger argument, we don't know for a fact how close Roger and Rayleigh were at that level.
We're about to find out tomorrow.
But again, that's just for like the Toei filler thing that they love to do, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not complaining in this scenario. It's just we don't know. Yeah, for like we don't know. Like Rayleigh could be like, oh, Roger's like 3 times stronger than I am, but I'm still pretty good. It's like, oh, okay. Like you don't really have like you can't use the narrative, or you can't use because they're like Roger or because they're like Rayleigh. You can't use that. It's not good. And I wonder
he's got to be first commander level.
He's got to be first mate level before he goes anywhere.
Yeah.
And the next question I wanted to ask all of you is this: the Zoro hype. Do you guys think it began since the start, since its introduction, or did it start from the post time skip forward?
I guess I'll start. I think it built up in pre-time skip, definitely, especially in Enies Lobby and definitely in Thriller Bark. And then he does training with Mihawk, so it's just like, oh, he's training with the person that he needs to surpass. This is hype as hell. And then post-time skip happens, and he shows up, and he's all dressed like a samurai. You know, he is Zoro after all, and he's missing an eye, or like the whole eye scar thing. And boy, the theories that are still out there today about, oh, Zoro's gonna open his eye and that's gonna be the Ashura portal, blah blah blah, or it's the Sharingan eye.
It's the whole Bleach Kenpachi thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, yeah, I would say the quote unquote overhypeness did kind of begin post time skip, because again, we wanted to see how far he came in his training.
Yeah, and it's like I didn't notice it. I don't know. It's like I can't tell if part of why I asked is like I haven't really been using the internet much when it came time for early One Piece, so I don't know if like discussions were there. If anyone saw it, that's awesome. I kind of saw it as since the beginning, Zoro has always been kind of like a different beast. But he's still grounded as a character. He was still he acted human. And don't worry, I'm about to make the case. Because come post-time skip, after Mihawk, he acted differently. Like you don't really see him acting too happy. You kind of just see him become like the stoic, badass samurai type. And I wonder if people use that and the Mihawk training to just propel the arguments as to why he's such a monster. because I think it was right around when he beat Pika. Where did I see on Twitter and on YouTube where people were just like, "Yo, this is the best, one of the strongest characters ever now." That's what I saw.
So from me, I think yes, from the offset, I think Zoro has always been hyped. So just like if everyone can remember back to like chapter 2 or whatever it was when we first met him, like tied to that pole, and Zoro's whole thing was he wants to be the world's strongest swordsman. And then as we kind of like went to like Baratie and we saw Mihawk, like he made his pledge that he's just going to continue and not lose again until he's defeated Mihawk. And so you can see that Zoro's ideals haven't changed, and people like, particularly when we saw like Mihawk and Baratie, and that's kind of like, you know, when you kind of meet the final boss like really early, and we kind of met like Zoro's boss battle like really early on, and people are like, okay, so that's the guy who he's aspiring to be, who's like so much stronger than everyone else that we'd seen at that point. And because Zoro hasn't strayed away from what his ideals are, and he's got one of like probably the best ideals in the story, kind of, in terms of being the world's strongest swordsman. That's what people like to see, right? People love the whole power scaling. They love the whole samurai thing. They love the whole like just being strong sort of theme. And so because he's continuing that his path to that without straying, I think that's why people love him so much, and that's why he's hyped so much. And so for me, I seem to think that him kind of going to Mihawk and then training and learning under Mihawk kind of took away from things for me personally, whereas I can see why others would find that like really cool. But then I have an issue with Zoro, I think, post time skip, because he is walking through people, and for me the fact that he's walking through people tells me that he's not being stretched. And I prefer sort of Luffy's growth, where Luffy kind of gets stretched, like he struggled with Cracker and he overcame Cracker, and then Katakuri, and then and so you can kind of see his growth curve. But as it stands now, like the story suggesting that was Zoro that strong from the offset, because he hasn't had to be stretched at any point, and that's where I have an issue with him.
Yeah, and because now we're just like, oh, you want him tested? Okay, and Oda just throws him in front of hybrid Kaido still hiding in the smoke screen, where we could easily have that trope, because we brought up last episode, we could easily have that trope where when a character has their final form kind of revealed, but they're in the smoke screen, you kind of almost expect the next time we come back to the crew that they're just knocked out, and then we get the big bad reveals like, this is my form all along, this is what you lost to. So it's like, and Zoro's kind of built differently too, not to encourage the power scaling thing.
No, damn right he's built different.
But like in terms of like the character wise, to add on to what Prem said, Luffy, you see his growth throughout the series. Sanji, you get to see the growth. Brook, even Chopper, Nami, especially Usopp too. But Zoro, though, you kind of just see him. All you get to see is like, you don't really see much of the challenge. You see more of, I work out, then here comes the opponent. Now it's time to slicey dice. The best example, like where he naturally grows, was in his duel with Mr. One, where he learns to use the blasted. Why can I remember
the lion dance? I think it's called.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and he learns to cut through steel on is like to cut through anything. It's like that's the most natural growth you see. Whereas nowadays, just like, all right, I just have to cut them. That's pretty much all you get.
So I don't have too much more to say on this, because the question was, did this start in pre-time skip? Like, did this start in the community pre-time skip? Was that the question?
Yeah, like, or do you think it was the post-time skip where everyone's just like, whoa, he came back from Mihawk. This is where it begins.
I don't have too much to say on this because I wasn't really a part of the community that early on, but I would suspect that maybe Enies Lobby, or if not then, maybe Thriller Bark, because Thriller Bark, he was the only one fighting Kuma. Like even Sanji was like, gave him one kick, and nope, that did not last long.
Yeah.
So maybe,
Yeah.
but I actually have a question because I've heard it before, and I very much disagree with it. But I'd like you guys to expand on it. I don't know where your stance is. You said something about Zoro being more serious and not really funny, or not funny, but like goofy like he used to be. Could you maybe give some examples or point to where it's like a clear example of like pre-time skip in that moment he would have been goofy, but here, because I've heard that take and I just don't really buy it.
Oh, I remember it was in the early stages of One Piece, like in the East Blue Saga. Zoro is kind of like he kind of has banter with the lot of
Right.
crew, not like with Sanji, where it's just like, oh, let's just get the hate boner on.
No, I completely agree with that part. Where I disagree is if people are saying he's not like that anymore. I disagree with that.
Oh, it's not like it's non-existent. It's like it's a much more rare circumstance to see that. Because you can easily say like the defense is, oh, he was just influenced by Mihawk, and that's perfectly understandable. You don't really learn social skills from a guy like him, but he's just like, yeah, I don't want to see him as the badass samurai forever. I kind of want to see more traces of the old Zoro, not just the stoic badass we have like 95% of the time.
I just don't feel like the occasion has come up for him to be funny, because if you look at all the times he's been funny, the material is right there and he just sort of used it. Like Skypiea, who isn't gonna do a Tarzan yell if you're in a jungle?
Yep.
Like that's not a Zoro thing, that's an anybody thing.
But Oji, just to add to that, I think so. Like you've just given that Skypiea example, I feel like we've had those sort of examples more in pre-time skip than we have post-time skip. So personally, for me, it's kind of like, does anyone remember that fight with Mr. Two, where Nami and Zoro all kind of trapped, and Zoro's like, "I'll cut off my legs," and that,
Right,
for me, it
exactly.
was kind of like a hilarious moment because you knew like he was a little bit serious, but it almost came across comedic.
Right, because
Yeah,
he's being
he was-
vain.
Yeah, that, and he was just like, "Look, I'm not gonna die looking stupid. I'm at least gonna look awesome doing it."
I guess
Exactly.
Yeah,
I guess what I'm trying to say is occasions like that don't really come up anymore. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's like a deliberate choice of Zoro. Like I don't think Zoro's like Ichigo, where like he's trying to be cool on purpose, so he just tries not to be goofy. I think it's just he's not placed in those kinds of situations, so he's just not being. But I will give one example that I can think of. On Zoe, when he cut up the trees, he thought he was all that because he cut like 50 trees down. He's like, all right, well, you guys can use these to build the island now. You can give these to Frank. And he's like, wait, where'd everybody go?
Okay, that was good. But I just to add to that, I'd say even though you might think that the moments haven't come up, they've come up for other characters. So you've seen Brooke continuously give his sort of stick. You see Robin's dark humor, like kind of like Robin's like inadvertently funny just by the way she says things. And then you've seen Luffy be Luffy, and like I mean Oda's gone above and beyond for like Sanji, like starting with like Fishman Island where he's basically gonna die from nosebleeds. So it's kind of like if he really wanted to, he could put those moments back in. But as the other Straw Hats have had, and even like with Usopp, man, we've seen the whole God Usopp stuff, and just like I mean, Usopp gets so many hilarious moments, and it's like we just haven't had that from Zoro post time skip as much as we did beforehand.
and that's kind of telling to what the overall tone is of the new world. Like, and we even hear him say this in Punk Hazard when he tells Luffy, "Hey, we got to be a little more serious about things. We're in the new world now. We can't be just goofing off and all that. And of course, Luffy's gonna Luffy, so he's gonna do whatever the hell he wants. But I think with the whole goofiness, we just got to remember that Zoro, at least from how I see it, Zoro, a lot of times with goofy moments, he plays the straight man role, where he's reacting to whatever dumbassery, with lack of a better term, is going on around him. So he pretty much plays that role very well. Yeah, he'll have his moments like, the whole Zoe moment and the Mr. 3 thing. So I think with that whole quote unquote seriousness thing, I think it's just with him through the time skip, he did his training and all that, but and this kind of delves into his character a little bit too. He put his dream, because at one point he gave up his dream just to save Luffy. Like, he was willing to die to make sure Luffy could become king of the pirates, but he didn't. So he had like a second chance at life. So he put his whole pride and his dream aside so he could get stronger for his crew. So now, because like when we first see Zoro, he's all like, oh, if you're if your ideals and everything doesn't, like, oh crap, if what you want to do gets in the way of what I want to do, I'm going to leave. Now he's actually got this good mix of, I'm going to achieve what I want to, but I'm gonna like be your, like, you are my captain, I am your vice captain. So he's got more of a focused mindset with everything, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but like, it's not gone. Like, the goofiness isn't 100% gone, because I mean, with this phrase as well, I mean, it's One Piece. the goofiness is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon.
I guess my stance is Oda is definitely trying to make him portrayed as more seriously, and I definitely think that's consistent with his character, because like you're saying, he's coming back from a massive L, in the sense of like they lost to Kuma, like it was just no fight at all, and they had to train for those 2 years, so it makes sense that he would come back like, all right, no screwing around this time. But I still, if the only thing I disagree with is if anyone, and I don't think anyone says this, but just to be clear, if you are trying to say, or anyone, I guess, Zoro is consciously trying not to be funny anymore, that's where I start to disagree with you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
Yeah.
But just to add on to that, just a little bit, do we think that Zoro's losses kind of get just like looked past? So, and when I say that, I mean like he did have like quick clashes with, like, obviously he lost to Mihawk, but he also clashed with Arlong and Nell and like Kuma, and like those were like all losses, but they were kind of like cool losses, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because like most of those are tied to him still being injured from a previous fight. So like Arlong, for example, he was still like heavily injured from the Mihawk fight. So it's just like, okay, he took this L, that's fine, because he was injured from prior things. And like with Kuma, they had just beat Moria, and Kuma comes along, he's just like, okay, how's everybody doing? Oh, tired? Oh, sucks to suck. And then just obliterates them with his paw fruit.
Yeah,
multiple
like
times.
Sabaody, it's just like a simple from Kizaru, right? He's just out.
Yeah. So those ones I think people overlook because, oh, there's a reason behind it. But I can see, I guess, like, that's the other thing. Like, I can't think of any other like bigger losses. I mean, the only one you can maybe think about is in Water 7 when Lucci just kind of punked both him and Luffy.
That one. But because Luffy was there, you kind of like look past that as well, don't you?
I guess.
Oh,
maybe.
It could also be like it wasn't a true one-on-one duel. That could be the defense.
They were serious.
And also there's the Enel fight when
I mean that's Enel though.
Yeah, no, yeah.
but yeah, seriously though. But yeah, not a lot of people talk about that either.
Yeah,
So,
and it's
Well, I
like
mean-
I just think they get glanced past, like
Mhm.
people just.
Well, so in what regard do you
doesn't
mean?
matter.
Like they get glanced over as like not officially losses, or you think people forget them when they're talking about feats?
I think a bit of both. So I think when people talk about feats, they don't talk about those sort of L's. And the only reason I bring it up is because of the whole sort of like people talk about Sanji's L's and the comparison to Sanji and Zoro. So I do understand their losses, but I don't think they're bad. But there's something that we need to realize that have happened, and I don't think a lot of Zoro fans bring that up. I had a conversation with someone on Twitter, and they said Zoro hasn't lost, and that none of these were losses, and they don't count as losses. So
well, that was your first
Yeah.
mistake. You talked to somebody on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like,
so I mean, to me they're losses, but I just think people just kind of like throw these to the background as if they never happened.
I think again, we already mentioned this, but I might be wrong, but I think the only times Zoro has quote unquote lost, aside from Mihawk, is when either it was a very quick clash and he just wasn't expecting it, or he was coming off of a big fight or a big injury. So, like with Enel, he had taken a ton of damage before he engaged Enel. So even when you don't factor in Enel's insane Devil Fruit abilities, Zoro was already at a disadvantage. So I think if people play those off, I'm not talking about feats, I'm just talking about like what do we count as L's. I think people play those off, and I probably would too, because they weren't like true fights. They were like, okay, I just got stabbed 3 times. Somebody just hit me with a dog. I don't like. I can't really fight at full. I mean, literally in Skypiea, you have him getting attacked by a dog, and he's like, "Okay, I guess we're doing this."
Just a dog club. It's like, what the hell
Yeah.
is that? Something you can't fight against.
He's like, "I guess I'm fighting a dog."
Yeah, you try to punch the club and it gives you puppy eyes. Like, oh, I can't.
oh yeah, I couldn't. I'd lose instantly.
I guess that is like it could be very relevant soon, where if Zoro does lose out to the Kaido hybrid and Big Mom, would you guys like if the next time we see Zoro is just on the ground panting like with the others with the big hybrid reveal? Would you guys count that as an L, or will apply the same logic? Like it depends on the circumstances.
I would
if you know
count
what I
that
mean.
as an L only because like we watched Zoro do damage, and like he wasn't in any major fights prior. But I think if you get into the semantics of it, it's like, okay, it was more of like a brawl. So would you really call it Zoro's L, or would you call it like a group L? Because like if you play a game of Call of Duty, it's not your L, it's the team's L.
Mhm.
So if we're talking about 4 people versus 2 people, and again, it would depend on the particular circumstances, but would you call it Zoro's L, or would you call it the group's L?
And I can tell you from the offset right now that will not be counted as Zoro's L, and that the majority of people will make that a group L. And that's where I go with the whole. He always seems to kind of just sneak past it, and and you know what? I don't have a problem. Like people might think I hate Zoro. I actually really really love Zoro. But it's just kind of like things like that. That will be
it's Zoro stands you don't
without.
like.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly.
It's always you stands.
So that would definitely be a
list.
group L, because technically you could argue that Luffy's been defeated twice, right? So like he got one shot the first time, and we've seen what he's just done now, and so I guess like people would say, well, there's Kid there, there's Law there, there's Killer, so it's definitely a group L if they're all.
It was all Killer's fault.
So I will say,
and I guess and lastly, just on that, it depends on who's left standing. So if
Right.
if everyone else is left standing and he's gone down, then I think you can kind of pin it as an L.
So I will say this: the one thing, assuming this happens, right? Like let's assume they all lose. We don't know. We can't say why, but let's say they all lose, all 4 of them. The reason I would be very skeptic of some Zoro fans at that point is I can see a lot of people making a 180 from Zoro's killing Kaido to, oh, well, it just wasn't his time, or, oh, he was held back by 3 other people, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no. I can look at your Twitter thread. I can look at your YouTube channel where you have 5 videos of Zoro killing Kaido and how Zoro has true magic, one for all, ultimate hockey attacks. And now you're saying that it just wasn't a good day for him.
Bankai.
Yeah, a
He's got
Bankai.
spot.
Yeah.
And now you're saying, oh, well, it was an off day.
It was an off day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I would be like, okay, I'm calling baloney.
Yeah, you could be like, oh, I never meant it to be Onigashima. I meant it. He's gonna kill him in the final war. That's what
Yes.
Zoro kills Kaido on Elbaf? Question mark.
Yeah.
New video idea. Zoro kills
Viking Kaido.
eventually. Oh, yo, okay, no, don't. Oh, ooh.
There you go. I'm waiving all rights, all claims. You can take that.
All the court cases we're gonna lose against this man.
Dude, you not to go.
You're gonna lose.
Yeah, this is true. I'm taking you to court. I'm not even taking you to court. I'm taking you to arbitration. I'm gonna buy the arbitration judge a nice steak dinner, and I'm gonna tell him what you did, and it's gonna be a quick done deal. Not to go too off topic, but I have plenty of great ideas, and I just like tell people, I'm like, take them, and it's always on a podcast too. Like, do you know Silvers? Oh God, what is his Twitter handle?
Rayleigh Silver's Rayleigh?
No, on he's part of the One Piece community. 6 Guns, I think, is his Twitter handle.
I feel like I've seen his name before, but I don't think I really read him.
I was on his.
No, I know Silvers.
There you go. So I was on a stream of his, and afterwards he was like, "All right, so I need a name for these." And like literally 3 seconds later, I was like, "What you call yourself? Or your whole thing is 6 Guns, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, 6 Guns, sit down, boom. He was like, "Oh." I was like, "There you go. I'm waiving all rights. You can take it." And he took it and ran with it. Next video was called 6 Guns, sit down, featuring whoever he had. So I highly recommend taking Viking Kaido, just rolling with it.
I just want to commission an artist to do it.
Go for it.
Can Kaido wield Mjolnir? Join us next week.
If you DM an artist and say, "Hey, I want you to draw a picture of Kaido, but with Skyrim armor," they'll be like, "I think I should be paying you."
I mean, pay me for the idea. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. But I waive all rights.
And Trevor, yes, not only can he wield Mjolnir, he is Mjolnir. So
that's his hybrid, just an iron dragon.
I mean,
his head is just the hammer.
I mean, if we really think about it, now that I've brought it up, he does have frost giants.
Mm-hmm.
So
oh my fucking god!
He could be the big bad of Elbaf.
Ooh.
Oh my god! He might have connections to Loki too. Son of a bitch!
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. Like, he has the ancient giants, which are basically frost giants, and then he has literal frost demons.
And so he fought like, Odin.
Guys, I'm telling you, one of you take this and roll with it.
We need to let Bovine know about this walking. See if we can just draw us a
Kaido. I need Viking Kaido on my desk. Yes,
I'm waiving all rights. Just put me in the title.
Yeah, there's gonna be like on the bottom right, copyright holder Shonen Ouji 2021.
You know what? I'll settle the fraud case if you just put me in the title of your video.
Even better.
Oh, no worries. We will.
And you have to say Douglas Bullitt is a great character and a beefcake.
Mm.
All right,
Especially-
I agree on
especially
the
that last
beefcake.
God
I
damn.
agree on the beefcake.
The beefiest of cakes.
The thumbnail is just a cake with Douglas Bullitt as the cherry. Just
It's
his screaming head.
It's a muffin made out of steak with a helmet on it, or like with gears on it, because it was devil fruit.
I love it.
Oh my god.
Oh.
The ideas.
Don't worry, this all
Oh.
ties back to Zoro, because Zoro's gonna cut Kaido and become the king of Asgard.
So Zoro is going to open his eye and get a future seeing ability like Odin. So Odin will be killing Kaido. Boom, I just ended your video.
There we go.
Shit.
Bam.
Man, the theories about that eye. God damn.
Well,
Remember
because
when everyone-
it's so deliberate. Like, they made such a big deal about it
Mm-hmm.
when it was revealed. So it's like, it's one of those things where if nothing ever happens with it, you're going to be like, okay, excuse me, what?
Yeah.
You know what problem I have with that, right?
Go ahead.
Like, how come someone like Usopp didn't just say, "Hey Zoro, what's up with your eye?" Like, you'd think after not seeing someone for like 2 years and they have a shut eye, you'd say, "Well, what happened to your eye?" And it's just not spoken about.
I mean, to be fair, they might have asked him and we just didn't see it.
Yeah. Same.
That-
same.
Yeah, it's not like Oda to off screen.
That
Right.
I mean,
You're making a lot of assumptions here. I mean, think
Yeah.
about it. Nami reads the newspaper all the time. Do you know how many conversations we probably missed between her and Robin about the market?
Oh my god. I
I
unironically
need
believe
those discussions.
I unironically believe that there is an argument out there, and someone went, he never drew the panels about Zoro talk about his eye because it will be in a flashback against his fight against Shiryu, and that's when he opens the eye, and then he will defeat him.
Just like we never saw the conversation that they had with Sanji when he joined them in Wano.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
That old thing.
Oh my lord. Yeah, I always thought the eye was just one of the costs of his training was just getting his eye slashed by Mihawk or one of the monkeys. And I was like, oh man, what a cost. I never once thought, oh, it's because of a secret power up that he might have.
Yeah, I just thought it was some injury.
I just think the reason why it's got to be something is because Oda made such a deal of it to have Sanji be like, oh, what happened to his eye? So it was a very deliberate effort to bring our attention to it because we noticed it right away anyway. So for Oda to be like, oh, he lost his eye, wink, wink. Also, wink, wink, because he only has one eye.
Yeah, I was about to
There it
say.
Ugh.
The Ultra Instinct starts, like, the theme for Ultra Instinct starts playing as soon as he opens his eye.
Zoro has the Sharingan. Zoro is Kakashi.
Kakashi.
Zoro is that one JJK character, just to be so out of left field.
Way to go, Zoro.
Oh. Gojo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never read or
I was
watch
gonna say-
JJK.
I was like, what character is missing an eye in JJK?
He's talking about those beautiful, luscious eyes of Gojo.
I will read it one day, don't you worry.
You should.
It's one day.
You won't regret
One
it.
day.
You won't.
Just watch the anime because the
That too.
little like bits they do at the end of each episode are
Yes.
hilarious. Like,
Ah.
did you see the one for today?
Yes, I did. It was so
the,
funny.
the highlight of it is when it came to Gojo's part.
Yeah.
They use like the fairy tale noise of like when someone's being like flirty.
Wow. Oh, wait,
Yeah,
no,
that
that's
one.
yeah. And he's just
Oh,
like,
that
come on,
sounds funny.
come on, Megumi. You have
I'm not
violin
gonna-
practice. I
I'm
need
not
to
gonna
teach
say
you
what
Twinkle,
happened.
Twinkle,
Oh,
Little Star.
Don't tell them what happens. Let them watch it.
I mean,
Trying
I
to-
still haven't watched this week's episode. I
Do
literally
it.
just caught up on last week's episode before
Do it.
joining
That's
this.
what I'm saying. Let them watch.
Do
What's
it.
funny
and
was
then-
that on HBO Max, like last night, me and Justin watched the Snyder cut of Justice League, and then afterwards, I noticed that JJK's on HBO Max. Wait, what the fuck?
Really? That's
I think
interesting.
I think they have like a contract with Crunchyroll, so like they have some anime on there.
That
Are you
would
sure it's not
explain-
Sony? Because I feel like it would just be Sony.
It might be. I don't know. I just know that they have a Crunchyroll like window or thing on HBO Max.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
HBO
Anyway.
Max is looking pretty sexy, not gonna lie.
It is.
It's good. Like I guarantee, like 3 million people downloaded it last night just for the Justice League, which wasn't that bad
totally.
actually.
I didn't see the movie just because I'm not big on the DC like wannabe Avengers movies because that's what they are.
Yeah.
But I heard it was a very substantial improvement. But I just heard 4 hours and I was like, no
Yep.
way.
Have you seen Lord of the Rings: Return of the King extended edition?
Oh God.
Like that's how you know the directors are big fat nerds because they make a 4-hour movie. It's
Well,
like
yeah.
it's like the Hollywood budget edition of like someone making a YouTube video and you know they care about it because they make like a 3-hour video.
Yeah,
Yep.
you got to be passionate.
Right. Exactly.
i.e. Trev.
Oh, look. Those were our like, fun CBR streams that we had. Don't
Fun.
diss those. They were fun.
I drank
Yeah,
heavily.
Yeah, to be
Well, you
honest,
guys like debunking
Trashing
stuff.
CBR is fun.
It is.
I think it's become a little saturated. I think
Yeah.
too many people are doing it. It's like when everyone beats on the same kid, then he doesn't recover. You have to like give him a day to like have his Lunchables, his God, what was it? Capri Suns. Let him get his health back, and then we can beat him up again.
Yeah.
It's the same
I think,
thing with CBR.
honestly, I think that's what they're doing because, like, I'll check their site every now and then and be like, okay, do they have anything interesting going on? And they haven't really had many, like, juicy, quote unquote, articles.
Yeah, it's like they kind of toned down after everyone shat on them. Us especially.
It was after we stopped the streams like months ago.
Yeah, fucking copyright
Like-
claim. Fuck you.
But yeah, I was going to say about Zoro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have
I've got a question. Go for it. Go for it. No, you go for it.
This is something that has floated around the community a little bit, and I'm curious how you guys think. So, since somebody mentioned hockey earlier, does Zoro / should Zoro have Conqueror's hockey?
Potentially. I don't think he should. I don't think anybody deserves that of anything. It's just a matter of
Mm-hmm.
well, okay, no, that's not true. But maybe. But I actually had this thought to myself the other day. Conqueror's hockey is kind of like Nen. It's initially introduced as like this super OP ability that only a few people have. And then once it's introduced, it's like, okay, this person has it, 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 this person, that person's cousin, that person's dog, this person, that person. It's like, okay, it's really not that rare. Like Devil Fruit's one thing.
But it is. It is. It really is rare. So I think the issue you're finding there is that it's only not rare because we're in the new world.
Okay, but hold on. Let me just point this out, and you can take with it what you want. Boa has Conqueror's hockey.
Yeah, Boa has it.
So are you going to? So here's where I'm kind of just like, okay, what are we supposed to do with this? We're told two things. One, we're told it's rare, and that you can. So we're told it's rare, and not many people have it. We're not told if it's like an innate ability or if it's something that if your hockey gets to a certain point, then you sort of unlock it. But then we're also told by Rayleigh specifically that anyone who has it can learn to use it, but you can't use it as deliberately as something like armament or observation. And I feel like
really?
so if you go back to when they're training on the island and he's explaining hockey, he says that word for word. The translations might vary, but he basically says that. And so I feel like both of that is deliberate lies. Because one, like I just said, you can name a dozen characters that have Conqueror's hockey. Two, I feel like in the near future, we're going to find out that characters like Shanks and Rayleigh know how to use Conqueror's hockey, like deliberately. And maybe even Dragon. Maybe Dragon's like weather ability is just Conqueror's hockey. So I feel like both of those were meant to deceive us.
That's if Dragon has a
If he has it, but
Yeah.
that's basically where I'm saying. Like I think
So funny enough, I actually don't agree. I really don't agree. Like I get all the points that you gave, but isn't it just like if you want to track back, say armament haki is you have a low level of it, and then you've got an advanced use of it, and then you've got like those who know the basics of armament. So for example, who's someone with really basic armament haki?
Well, so how are you connecting armament hockey to Conqueror's hockey? Like, what are you
So
saying?
I think so. Effectively, where I'm going with this is that there are different levels to all the armament haki. So I know the question is, will Zoro have armament haki? Does he have armament haki? Well, if he's got armament haki, Conqueror's haki. Sorry, if he's got Conqueror's haki, he clearly just hasn't awakened it yet. And so if he is to have Conqueror's haki, something has to occur in order for him to awaken that sort of ability. And the reason I was comparing it to armament haki is because you're talking about Boa, which I take offense to, but I'm saying it's something that Boa has realized.
Why do you take offense? I said she has Conqueror's hockey. Why are you taking offense?
Context.
because I feel like the context behind that is that you're presuming that she's trash, but she has Conqueror's haki.
No, I don't think so at all. But so what I was trying to say was, we're presented with the impression that it's something that only like a handful of people have. And like comparatively, yes, in the grand world where there's like millions of people on the big blue planet, like yes, comparatively speaking. But in the pirate world, you can name like at least a dozen, probably like 24 people that have Conqueror's hockey.
Yeah,
so,
but these are they're meant to be like I completely understand where you're going with it, but they're meant to be kind of like the pinnacle, the top, like the rare breed of people who do have it. Like not if you in the grand scheme of things, they're kind of like only like 10%. They could be the top 10% of the population that have it. So when they say it's really rare, I'd say if 30% of the population had it, it's still rare because that means 70% don't have it. So it depends on how you're judging it. So we've seen maybe 20 odd characters that might have had it out of the whole One Piece population. So it is still rare.
fair. I'm not saying it's not rare. I'm just saying I think the initial impression we were given was a little overstated.
So I did some quick research just to see who has Conqueror's hockey that we know of right now in the series. So in canon, it's about 15 people.
Okay.
We have Shanks, Luffy, Rayleigh, Hancock, Whitebeard, Katakuri, Big Mom, Don Chinjiao, Doflamingo, Ace, Odin, Kid. Sorry. Sengoku, Kaido, and Roger.
Is Blackbeard confirmed to have it?
Not yet.
No.
Keyword not yet.
You're right. I feel like so that's actually a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
because
like
the One Piece world has 12.5 million people, by the way.
Okay.
So in a grand scheme, 15 people out of 12.5 million is really rare.
Right, and I gave that to you. I said comparatively, yes, it is rare. But so what I'm saying is, back to our question: does Zoro have Conqueror's Haki, or is he going to unlock it if he already has it? I feel like the odds are in his favor because when you have such a wide array of characters, like literally at the top of that, you have people like Kaido and Shanks and Rayleigh, and at the bottom of that, I know you named a bunch of characters, but I just keep going back to Boa because as strong as Boa is, like again, it's not canon, but we saw Boa do some pretty like serious damage, or she gave Bullet a run for his money. So,
which fun fact, Bullet is one of the 2 non-canon users of Conqueror's Haki.
Right, he does have.
The other one is the old guy that trained Luffy, Ace, and Sabo in some filler.
Right, and I'm not going to go with that one because that would be way too easy if that was canon.
Right.
But so what I'm saying is, I feel like the odds are in Zoro's favor because it doesn't feel like there's a strict gate or cutoff for Conqueror's Haki.
Yeah, I can believe that. To give like my own answer, I don't think he would. This is just me. I don't think that he'll get Conqueror's Haki exactly. I thought that through his training, as we've seen with Monette, he gave her that cold stare. I always like assumed when that happens, like, oh, Mihawk taught him how to like send like your soul into another person, make them freeze up with fear, kind of like Conqueror's Haki. I don't have it, but I could teach you to emulate it or something like that.
Right.
It would make sense, but I wouldn't be mad if he did or did not.
I'm fine with it either way. I just think the odds are in his favor because it doesn't really seem like there's anything holding him back.
Yeah, no, I agree. That the last thing I'd probably add to that is, does it not matter? Is it not dependent on, should I say, on what actual Conqueror's Haki entails and what you gain from it?
What do you mean?
Because, so for example, if it's something that he needs to surpass Mihawk, does that increase the chances that he does have it? Kind of like how we've seen, like kind of like before I was talking about, you've kind of got like advanced armament, and then we've seen future sight, and I know with Boa we've seen Boa has Conqueror's Haki, but clearly she's only got like a simple like level 1 stage of Conqueror's Haki. And when we do find that players such as like Shanks and maybe Dragon, and we see that what Conqueror's Haki can actually entail, if there's a certain ability and it's to do maybe with your will or whatever it is, and that ability is something that Zoro needs in order to overcome Mihawk, could it be that that's where he could awaken that power? I mean, this is just all headcanon at the moment, but but I think the question is, what does he gain if he's just getting the normal Conqueror's Haki that knocks out a couple of people that we've seen so far? Is what does that actually do for Zoro's character? If it takes him a step further, and there's something more that we learn with Conqueror's Haki, then maybe it's something that he needs.
And that's kind of where I'm in, because like kind of like what Trevor said, to kind of piggyback off that, we've seen a few instances of him like giving a stare to somebody, and the power of a stare is very powerful indeed. But we've seen that in the past with Luffy, like just like being able to calm something or tame something, if you will, with just a simple stare. So like we've seen some of that before, and it could be possible that on the roof, since we're here right now on the roof, this could be the moment where Zoro has that unlocking moment like we had with Luffy near the end of pre-time skip. Now, does he necessarily need Conqueror's Haki to be the world's strongest swordsman? I don't think so, but I am in the camp that thinks he will get it, because I think there's got to be something more to the people that have Conqueror's Haki, and I think that's going to lead up to this final war and what these people are all going, like their place in what the whole finale of One Piece is going to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
Wow, you really knocked us all out with that one.
You're
Yeah, no,
welcome.
'cause no,
That's my Conqueror's hockey.
I just thought maybe he had something else to say.
Go ahead.
Trevor's just like, yeah.
God damn.
No, I was going to say,
Fine.
Walkins, you're spot on. I think you're spot on there, and no, I do agree. I wasn't like ignoring it. I think I was just deep in all of that information. So, no, I agree.
God damn. Yeah, and I guess the only thing I have to ask is, does anyone else have anything to add to the Zoro conversation, or did we all say our piece? Did we all?
I mean, I just
settle
want to do a quick fire One Piece power scaling with Zoro, and particularly since we got Ouji in here, I want to say because our last conversation was kind of a discussion on Sanji, and I spoke about Sanji fighting Dofi, and in the mid-air we see how his shin cracks. At that point in time, had Zoro met Dofi, what do you think would have happened?
Something similar?
So you're talking about when they're trying to leave like Green Bit and they're trying to head
Yeah, the
towards
Green
Route.
Bit area. Yeah, correct.
So am I in a situation, or is it the situation where Zoro is trying to get them out? He's not necessarily trying to fight Doflamingo.
Correct. Identical situation. The only difference is you swap Sanji for Zoro.
So refresh my memory. Did they like kind of do like a who's the guy on Punk
They-
Outfit that happened? He kicked him and his shin broke.
Virgo.
Virgo. So it was basically like a Virgo Clash 2.0, right? Like they both kicked each other and his shin broke.
Correct. The second
Okay.
question is going to be if Zoro was in position of Sanji over there against Virgo, what would happen? So I'm just drawing exact comparables.
Right. I don't think his sword would chip. I think he would just sort of clash and then be like, oh my god, oh wow, he's got so much hockey, and then be like, all right, we're out of here. I don't think it would be like wildly different, but I don't think it would be anything comparable to having a chin fracture.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense.
I'll tell you this: if Zoro kicked him, he wouldn't have a leg.
Actually, that's that no sword style right there.
Saying that, didn't Zoro actually break his swords like before Arlong against, was it Mr. One? Or, wait.
Before that was it was against Mihawk, because Mihawk broke two.
Oh
of his
yeah,
swords.
Yeah.
Except for the water.
He had two vanilla swords, if you will.
Yeah.
2 level 1 swords going up against level 500,000.
I will say this: what Zoro has in that Doflamingo situation, technically speaking, you could make the argument that Zoro has 3 legs. So, like his swords, it might give him an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna leave that. I'm gonna let the imagination figure that one out.
I hate you, OG.
like his 3 swords, he has 3 legs.
Yeah.
You could call it
he has
the
6
tripod
swords.
style.
Tripods.
You have to admit it,
Tripods.
Prems. He has 3 heads too. It all makes sense.
Oh, that's the thing that you said.
God damn.
Well, I guess if we're making Trevor be demonetized even more.
Hey, I never
What?
said any. I never
There
said
we go.
anything
Robin's
that
boobs.
was explicit.
Did you just change your fucking... Oh my god.
He's been changing it.
Oh, I didn't know. I've been keeping it on the wallpaper the whole time.
It's my shtick on these.
And that's why you're the Sanji of the group, always taking over the boobs. Oh,
I mean-
the dog.
Somebody's
Me.
got to do it.
Yes, somebody's got to do it. I prefer the Odin of the group. Thank you. I have a harem.
And
Wait,
last
you-
question from me is again to OG, because I seem to kind of know you guys' thoughts.
Oops.
How strong is Zoro currently, and is it deserved, and why?
I will open with I hate that question because it's like how strong is Zoro? Like strong?
How long's a piece of string?
The reason I hate that question is because I'm not big on the power levels in One Piece as far as like Yonko Commander, all that.
I hate
but
it.
if you're
Yonko
if you're
Commander too,
asking me
stuff
to
like that.
place him in one of those, I think maybe between like just short of Emperor, maybe, depending on where Luffy is. If we're saying Luffy is an Emperor, I'm saying Zoro like just misses the cutoff.
Ironic.
I'm
not. That
Right.
that's why I kind of hate the question because
Yeah, no, I agree.
if you ask me,
To be honest,
could
there is
Zoro-
no right answer for it. So
well, it's just so open ended. Like you're asking me to give you an abstract answer. If you ask me to say something like could Zoro beat Mihawk right now, then I'd be like, okay, well let's sink our teeth into that, because then I can give you feats. But he was just asking me for an abstract answer. I'm gonna be like, he is Bankai one for all, S grade level.
So basically, Zoro is Super Saiyan Bankai S grade.
He is hot. He is Hawkeye level. He's destruction energy level.
With a power like that, he might be able to fight Boruto.
He's Viking. You know what? He's Viking level.
He is.
There we go.
There we
Love
are.
There we go.
Oh my lord.
He could definitely beat a
but
giant.
That is all the questions from me. I'm gonna give Trev back the stream.
I had control? No, I didn't know that.
I have a question for everybody. If nobody else has a question,
go for it.
So, in terms of the Zoro discussion, why is Dr. Stone season 2 the best anime of the season?
Because it is. Because science.
So
because if you watch it, you get stoned.
This is not a Dr. Stone stream. However, I can say that Dr. Stone has grown on me. But
yeah, damn right it did.
It's not the best anime though. So I'm anime-wise, I'm actually enjoying Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit more than Dr. Stone, but Dr. Stone is actually great.
I can respect that.
When people ask what the best power system is in anime
it's
or manga,
science.
It's science.
Well, okay. Not to go too off tangent, but let me just say this: there are no power scaling discussions in Dr. Stone because it's very like there are no questions. If you put Tsukasa in any fight, Tsukasa's going to win. If you put Hyuga with the spear in any fight, unless it's Tsukasa, he's going to win. Like there's no questions. The character just wins.
Well, I think Dr. Stone's an anime that doesn't where strength isn't necessarily the key, right? So, I mean, strength's a massive part of it. It's a massive part of it. But it's kind of like that's not like
it's less.
It's strength versus science, right?
So to make a video game analogy, it's less Street Fighter and more like, God, what's a
Tekken?
No. It's less Street Fighter and more like, if anybody's ever played it, StarCraft, where you're not like 1v1ing, you have many different assets. So the fighters are just one kind of asset.
Yeah.
I can accept that.
All this Dr. Stone discussion, I love
it. I still need to watch this week's episode.
Hey, so maybe
I'm 2 episodes behind.
I need to get on it.
Everyone has said it's a 10 out of 10 episode. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now.
I believe it. Because last week's was really good.
It was all part of the plan. Talking about Zoro would lead to Dr. Stone. It was all part of the plan.
Exactly. Everyone knows Zoro is a man of science.
Yeah. What? Oh, would he be part of the science team?
Yes, he would, because if you've watched
I'm not sure.
there's a One Piece abridged series. I forget what it's called. I think it's called like Fun Piece or something. But they spoof Syrup Village, and he walks around. He's like, "Hey, you kids want to be on fire?" I mean, what's more scientific than that?
True, that is true.
Also, very scientific. Oh, I'm handcuffed to this guy. Well, I can't use my swords, so why don't I use the guy as a sword? Boom, science.
Yeah.
Get wrecked. Get pwned.
No
that's
sword
sweet.
style.
I have a
Usopp
sword.
style.
Like Zoro's looking at Pika's like, I have a sword, and he is inside the stone
Also,
structure.
very scientific. Okay, I can't move because of my legs. So if I use Einstein's theories, I should
There we
just
go.
cut my legs off. Boom, science.
Yeah.
I mean, the logic you're making right now is really annoying.
But am I wrong? Is it not scientific
You're not
thinking?
wrong, but you're not right.
Okay, so let's hold on. Wait a minute. No. Let's go back to third grade. In third grade, they taught you every science experiment should start with a hypothesis, and that hypothesis should be: if I do this, then that will happen. If I cut my legs off, then I won't be stuck anymore. Boom, science.
So what you're saying
counter argument is Zoro stuck in stone, right? Sukano wakes him up.
Much
You
like
join me or
Senku
you die.
was, so boom, Senku. Zoro also has a big brain, but continue.
So Sukano wakes up Zoro, uses I mean, without spoiling it, like basically Zoro is one of the first people he wakes up. He says, "You join me or you die." Zoro joins him. Boom, Kingdom of Strength.
Right, but you haven't negated the fact that he's a man of science. Like he could easily start his own laboratory and just do science stuff. Like you're missing the point here. The man has a doctorate in science.
I mean, the way he dissected Pika.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, science. So what we're saying is Zoro is the best scientist in all of One Piece.
Okay, so I'll give you another piece of evidence. Trafalgar Law is a doctor. Trafalgar Law cut stuff. Zoro cut stuff. Zoro's a doctor. Boom.
It makes so much sense.
You know what?
That's why
that drove it home for me. Like I get it.
That's all I'm saying.
You have to think about this too. He only has one eye. What device only uses one eye? Telescopes, microscopes. That's it. He doesn't need the other eye for anything.
So
boom, science.
Before I officially stop talking, I just want to say one thing. I want to see 2 videos within the next week or 2. I want to see why Kaido is bringing frost giants to Elbaf, and I want to see why Zoro went to Harvard Medical School.
All right, Trevor, you got this.
Wait, which one am I taking on?
Both.
What?
Yes, and you have until Monday to get them uploaded.
No. He said a week. Fuck you.
I said within the next 2 weeks.
Aha.
So Monday, got you.
All right, I'm gonna hire Troll One Piece Theories to help with the script.
Oh.
Oh my lord! Anyone else have anything to add? This has been really fun so far. Anyone else got anything else?
Zoro is the worst character in all of One Piece. I hate him
And
so
with
much.
that, we've
a
done
fiery
it.
passion.
We've cracked the code.
I just want the record to show that I am a Zoro fan. That's
but
all.
Are you a Zoro stan?
Never.
I'm a Zoro Charlie. Does that count?
Yeah, you get brownie points for that.
Okay.
I
As
might
in
be
they're literal
Zoro.
brownies.
I might be Zoro curious.
I'm an Orthodox Zoro.
I've got nothing but Zoro's best interests at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm enrolled in the Zoro Presbyterian Church.
Yeah. We go to synagogue every Sunday.
Yeah.
I do Zoro yoga.
That's Zumba.
What?
Is it? Because wait, so in Zumba, does Zoro step on you while you stretch?
Yes. And if you don't do your lesson correctly, he just kills you.
Okay.
Well then.
Oh my lord. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. But yeah, I just want to thank all of you for coming here, and also super duper mega thank you to Shonen Ouji for gracing us with his scientific presence to discuss this. Thank you so much, sir.
Science.